Middlekauff! Heavy!
What's up, everybody? Hello, YouTube. It's good to see you. If you are here on YouTube, hit that like button. We appreciate that. Maybe consider subscribing to the channel. If you're already subscribed, then thank you. Tell a friend. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Dennis Allen, as we begin this stream, if you're watching this non-live after the fact, like the Olympics, Dennis Allen, moments ago, hired by the Nile Saints, John.
What about that crew right there? What about that crew, guy? We got Eberflus. I mean, I can't make fun of him because he's a UC Davis guy. He takes a lot of pride in Davis. But Nathaniel Hackett, I'll be honest, I hadn't really heard of. I mean, I knew the name and I knew the family, UC Davis football family. Head coach of the NFL, I don't think anyone would have thought that 2 years ago. Dayball, been on our minds for a while. I would say McDaniels and Doug, obviously Doug won a Super Bowl, and Josh has just been a national name now for over a decade, or kind of in their own little category, even though Doug's the only one that's had success. Josh failed. O'Connell, very good-looking guy, former quarterback, but again, meteoric rise. McDaniel, show favorite. I can't wait to watch the press conference tomorrow. Huge fan. Honestly, I was looking at Fanatics. I'm going to get some Dolphin swag. Maybe a dry fit long sleeve and a polo.
Ooh, I love that. The teal.
You got to be careful with some of their colors, though. They're just, the orange can be a little
creamsicle
strong.
orange is not. No. I'm out.
Dennis Allen, I'm selling stock. Lovie Smith. Honestly, if you would have told me a year ago that he was just retired and living in Florida, I'd have believed you. And now he's a head coach.
I had my first jersey. I had the Joe Montana. Actually, the first jersey was the Hutch helmet, jersey, shoulder pad, pant set, Montana. My second jersey, I guess, John, was a Merino. The 13.
Thunder
I just
Dan?
love the colors. Huh?
I was going to say Thunder Dan, but that was the basketball player, huh?
Dan Marley. Well, I love Dan Marley. Had the Merino, then the Steve Young. But, yeah, I mean, look, you just got to, when you have the opportunity to get this resume, you have to do it. You have to do it.
The team was pretty terrible. You and I attended some of these games.
You say you giving him credit for that third place finish in 12?
No, I mean, they went in 14. I'm pretty sure they started 0-13 because they finished 3-3. Or no, they would have been 0-10. They would have been 0-10.
Was that your last year on Raiders?
No, I think that's my first year. That's when I started. And we got off to a rocky start.
Was that Bengals week 1?
No, that was the following year with old Del Rio and Alden. That was the year they were 0-10, and I tweeted 0-16 is not out of the realm of possibility because they were playing the Niners, the Bills, like the Rams that year weren't terrible. Like they had a schedule that was like, who are they going to beat? And I got a phone call a couple hours later from then the president, now fired because he paid the Oakland City Council millions of dollars of money that they shouldn't have had. And Mark Bodane was furious.
Yes.
0-16. They were 0-10, and I'm pretty sure just lost a game by several touchdowns. So it was the arrows were not pointing up. Also, guy, the upcoming game was against the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football. And it was Alex Smith Chiefs, but they were clearly a lot better than the Raiders. And they upset them. They upset them.
Man, what a
8-28.
What a collection. So, the Raiders actually had the best coach, you'd argue. Raiders and Jags, I guess.
You have to give Doug.
At least the most established.
Doug, to me, is the heavy.
Yeah,
Josh has been a head coach one time, and it was made it to a year and a half.
Started 6-0. Cheating scandal.
Did you see the thing that went viral with DJ Williams that said that the only reason we were winning because we knew all the plays?
Yeah, so good. But they didn't know that they knew all the plays at first.
But he's like, they would tell you, like, go left 3 feet and back a foot, and you'll just catch the ball. And he'd be like, I'd just be standing there, and they throw the ball right to me. It was fucking incredible.
What was the game they almost blew for prematurely celebrating while the play was still going on? That was the sack by. Was that C.O. Moore on the sack?
I think that was the Chiefs game.
Oh, that was the Chiefs game?
I'm pretty
that
sure.
Was that C.O. Moore? Did you say that?
Khalil was there too, but yeah, it was both of them.
But it was a CO sack, wasn't it?
I think they might have got there at the similar times, but they were definitely they were together. It was a dual celebration. CO might have been leading it.
Wow. Well, I mean, I over under 2.5 years for Dennis Allen at the helm. I'm gonna take the under there. I don't think he makes it to year 3.
I think there could be several coaches in this crew that don't last 22, 23, 24 that don't see the 25 season. So there might be guys on the hot seat going into year 3. I would say probably half this crew is hot seat by year 3.
I texted a buddy of mine who's a huge Bears fan, Marty. And I was like, Marty, I got bad news for you, but Niner fans are thrilled about your new special teams coach. And he started telling me about some of the pain that they've experienced. He goes, 2 things. He goes, number 1, Lovie Smith always used to say you have to win in all 4 phases.
What's the 4th phase?
That's what I said. He's like, the fans are the 4th phase. It's like, well, Texans are going to be a problem for the 4th phase. And the other one, I was like, well, how's Eberflus? He's like, well, he doesn't have all 4 phases, but he has the HITS philosophy. HITS, HITS. I said, what is HITS? Have you heard about HITS? I forwarded you his text last night.
No.
Stands for hustle, H, hustle, I, intensity, both mental and physical. T in HITS is taking care of the ball. Seems like you're taking liberties with the letter T. And then S, smart situational football. HITS.
Lovey said that when he was the head coach of the Bears.
No, that's Eberflus's.
No,
HITS
I
is
know.
Eberflus.
I know, but Lovey said the 4th when he was the Bears head coach.
He must, because this guy's not an Illinois football fan.
I would argue that like when you coach a major brand, you don't need to do the cheesy shit.
Exactly.
Like the Bears, to me, if Eberflus just comes out and just says, you know what, guys? When I think the Chicago Bears, I think fucking Butkus, Singletary, Walter Payton, we're going to have one thing that we're going to care about. That's just going to be toughness. And that is going to, you just end it there. But instead he's like, Riddle stands for relentless, inspirational, taking the ball away. It's like, what? Shut up. Like that sounds like you're coaching like Bishop Gorman High School, doesn't it? just say,
absolutely.
Hey, I'm a defensive coordinator at heart. I'm coaching the Chicago Bears. We're going to hit people in the mouth. End the press conference. People be like, kind of like this guy. Right? That's all they want. And just say like Butkus. You just say that. Singletary.
Speaking of Butkus.
What about Butkus?
His Twitter page is just nonstop. He's on a roll.
You think he's tweeting though?
I don't know. I've never met the guy. I mean, I don't know what. Maybe this is his style. You think it's like his kid or something?
I would venture to guess it's not all him on the social media.
Yeah, I mean, most people. Maybe the world needs Buttcoin. Can be used to purchase deep dish pizza and Chicago beef.
I can go for deep dish right now, to be honest with you.
Problem with deep dishes, it's like you're one slice, and I like a good. I want 4 slices before I get hungry. I mean, full.
I could use some pizza. I'll tell you that. I'm starving. Trying to went on a Monday cleanse.
Yeah, trying to look like Mike McDaniel.
You just have a bad couple days. I ebb and flow. And then you just go on I got chocolate milk, and that's what I ate for lunch.
It's good. You get some protein. Rich Bisaccia about to sign with the Packers for the last 20 hours, John. It's like one of those, don't make me. I swear to God, do not make me. Kyle, do not make. Oh, did we float this rumor like midnight Pacific? We should probably float this rumor like around the time Shanahan and the Niners are waking up.
Well, if you put yourself in Rich's shoes, he's older, right? I mean, he's been in the league now a couple decades, and it's not like I wouldn't say he's on the front 9 of his coaching career, right? But I wouldn't say he's on hole 18, but he's probably like hole 14, 15. Wouldn't you want to get into a spot? And clearly, I would imagine he was already highly thought of. His stock is really, really high. Like all these coaching vacancies got to be begging him to come coach their special teams beside the fucking Bears. Because Hightower is represented by the same people that run the entire organization. It's just a rigged deal for the agent to profit off all these individuals. He doesn't give a shit if they win a game or lose them all. That direct deposit's coming his way every quarter. But if you're rich, if you told me that nothing was wrong with the Green Bay Packers in terms of like Aaron just signed last year, 5-year, $200 million deal, it'd be an easy job to take, right? The bar's so low. They did a picture today, like I saw Nagler tweeted it out, like this is all we need. And it's just Rich counting how many guys, were on the field, and he gives a thumbs up because the last play of, I think, the Niners game-winning field goal with Robbie Gould, they only had 10 men on the field.
That's right.
It would be, you would take that job over the Niners. I wouldn't blame him, right? Aaron Rodgers, their special teams. With Aaron Rodgers' situation, if I'm Rich, I'd say, hey, LaFleur, can you forward me Rodgers' number? Because I'm going to check in with him before I accept the job. Like, hey, Aaron, this is Rich Bisaccia. How do you say his name?
Bisaccia?
Bisaccia. I'm thinking about coming coaching the special teams. I saw how shitty you were. Are you going to be there? Because if you're going to head out, I'm not going to come, right? Like, what? It doesn't make any sense. Do you agree? If you have other options with teams, like if the Niners are offering you a job.
I mean, even if the Packers have Aaron Rodgers, it still might make more sense to take the Niners job.
I think it'd be pretty sweet to resurrect, and you could help them win a Super Bowl. I mean,
you could do the same thing, and it's not going to be 8 degrees on your old bones.
True, but the quarterback thing to coach a quarterback that you know's good.
But it's like, how much longer is Aaron going to be? You're not working with him.
I'm just saying, if he was
Aaron,
signed,
the last
like
thing Aaron wants is your guy
40.
on the field.
I think it's a much safer deal, but Aaron's gone, so it's to me 100% the Niners. Now the thing the Niners have to do is, he's been used to making some cash there. Gruden was paying his coaches a lot, no state income tax.
Yeah, well, that's what we talked about on the podcast. If you didn't listen to the podcast from yesterday, Sunday, it's brand new. I mean, last night, so it's really brand new today. We go deep into it.
It's only Monday. It feels like midweek. My body feels like midweek.
You are telling me.
I haven't felt right all day.
Same. Get that sleep number, John. We'll get to that later. But
some days you just don't have it,
It's just you just hope it's not your day to throw,
Yeah, you just
hope you're not on the
outs.
bump in fucking Arlington.
Exactly. Just try to keep the ball in bounds and just get to the bar.
Coach,
help me out.
That's where football's hard, man. Baseball, you can come back the next day, play another game. Football's like, maybe, you know what it might be? I honestly thinking about, I hadn't even thought about it till just now. I wonder if it's just our first Sunday without the NFL.
It was weird.
I mean, truly, I do think I'm not even being, there's, you're used to doing your drugs on Sunday. And now we're like kind of off that high.
It threw me off. Like it's why I don't get that excited for the Super Bowl, because it's actually kind of a bittersweet ending to favorite. It's just, you're right. There's a set schedule of my life.
Yeah.
That when college football goes away, that hurts. But you just have so much longer. You still have 3 or 4 weeks of just NFL games, and then once you get to the Super Bowl, you kind of see like this thing's over. Sucks.
Idea. I've been working on this idea. I said it to you like a month ago, and rightfully you kind of picked it apart. Like if I was an owner, I said to you, I would have to find a way to try and get this thing going year round. But it's tough. I mean, the absence is part of what makes the return so good.
The scarcity of the sport you've always said it's its greatest advantage against these other sports, that they are flying by, right? Baseball is just way too much. It just is. I mean, you love it and you don't even stay up and watch the games. That's why I've always said fucking put the runner on second. Start that in the 7th inning. I can't stay up and watch these games.
It's 6 o'clock too.
Once you no longer have to talk about the games, I mean, I'm never watching games at 10 o'clock at night anymore.
No, you just catch that. I mean, especially when it's June. But anyway,
NBA games don't matter. Like the NFL games, and football, college, same way. The games matter.
So here's my idea. USFL starts in March. I think what you got to do. Well, I think what you got to do is somehow, not what you got to do. I haven't quite figured this out yet. I think any sport that plays in the spring has to use NFL team names and logos. So instead of the Mountain Lions, you've got some variation of the minor league 49ers, and you just pay a lot of money to like a Niners position coach to be the head coach of that team. It's a way to like get guys game experience, right? So you just make
like Deuce Staley coaches the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, Deuce Staley. You got to pay him though, because Deuce Staley, it's like, hey, I'm an NFL coach. Like, I got something to. This is my time now. You want to make me head coach here?
But I'm also like if I'm the Lions GM and Deuce Staley, you want him, and I'm like the I don't even know what's a city in Michigan, right? Ann Arbor Lions or whatever. You just put a team somewhere.
Yeah,
we're running a draft and free agency. Like I need Deuce's opinions on some of these.
I know. So that's where it gets complicated. I don't know quite how you would pull it off, but I'm just saying. I think the only hope you have for any of these leagues to succeed is you kind of make a minor league. You kind of have them running the same offenses. Josh Johnson's playing for one of them. You've got,
Josh Rosen's, some of those Sudfeld's, just some of those guys. Be like, this is the Niners' third string guy.
Yeah, I mean,
you laugh, but Sudfeld would be better than all these other guys. Like all those guys play, they don't play in the NFL.
It's true. So I don't know. You got James Bechter coaching one of these teams or something.
But again, I need him to, like, if he's my linebacker coach, to tell me what linebackers in the draft.
No, I know.
And why does he want to do that? He's like, I'm exhausted.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You got to pay. That's what I'm saying. You got to pay this guy like $750K for like a 6-game season.
Does the team allow him to go?
I mean, maybe, it's kind of like coaching the Senior Bowl. You find some other.
I think the hard part about football, that it's so much easier to do that in minor league baseball and minor league basketball. It's just so much easier to just just run the pick and roll here and just play. You can't really just like pick up and play football,
I know.
It's like we need 3 weeks of banging heads, going over the playbook, working on the audibles and the hot routes.
I know.
That's why you could argue I wouldn't even stop trying. It doesn't work. No one cares.
But I'm not trying for somebody else's business.
But I'm just saying,
I'm trying for the NFL. Yeah.
USFL sucks. You don't have the players. And the players union, they would just never allow it, right? Because guys are like,
well, you wouldn't use active. You couldn't use active NFL players. Right.
Well, I know, but what about
you wouldn't use draft eligible guys? They, for the most part, wouldn't want to do it. You'd have to use the kind of guys that play in the AAF. You'd be using those guys, AAF, XFL guys. You're just slapping an NFL logo on them, putting some NFL assistant on the sidelines, and maybe people go, oh, they're running our schemes. Maybe that guy could fit in our offense.
One thing, when you just think, talk ratings, like a bad baseball game or a bad football or a bad basketball game, people just turn it off, right? Football, because of the scarcity of the sport, that if you're watching like Penn State, Michigan, and you've waited for the game, and let's say the game sucks, but you're like, I've waited all day. I have some money on it. I'm going to watch the shitty game. Where most of, I feel, the spring games suck. Like they were just like a shitty big college football game or a shitty NFL game. But at least with the NFL game, if you're watching Texans-Niners and you've waited all week, even if the game you realize this is kind of boring, but I've waited all week to watch this.
Also, most of the NFL games,
I'm not invested. I can just leave.
I know. Well, the vast majority of NFL games don't suck. That's the other thing. Like an NFL blowout. Think about that Niner-Texan game. It was kind of close for a half and change.
Yeah.
Niners got lucky on that non-fumble. It probably should have been a fumble. The interception.
Well, the other thing I think that happens in the NFL is when you get an upset, right? Like the week before when the Texans beat the Chargers, you're like, this can't really be happening. So you're like, are the Jets really going to beat the Patriots? Which that I don't think ever happens. But like every once, who the Jets beat? They beat the Bengals. You're like, no, they're not going to pull this off. So you like can't change the channel. And then you're like, fuck, they're going to do it. Where I don't like, what's even an upset when these random leagues? That's part of it. Like there's no buildup. You don't know any of the. Someone DM me.
I know.
They're like, I'm similar to your age. And, I think like you, I watch less and less like NBA basketball. And I was thinking like, why am I way more invested now than I ever have been in football? And I think a separation, like when we were kids, when you just think about throwing out random player names from the 90s, Allen Iverson, Rasheed Wallace, like you can just go through, you knew about these players in college. So the NBA and the NFL were very similar. Like they had built-in stars. And you just admit basketball, at least you got a couple years. Football, you've always had the three. Now, half the stars in football, are busts or whatever, right? Scott Frost or whoever. But they have enough guys that you just come to watch, Jamar Chase or whoever, then become good players. Basketball had the same thing. Like all their all-stars, you're like, fuck, I will watch this guy for 2 years at UCLA or North Carolina or Kansas, Paul Pierce. Basketball's completely lost that for the most part, right? The one and done it's just college basketball has lost some of its power. And that, I think, is a huge reason, like the NFL, we're all just so tied to the draft. And then even if, like, I wasn't locked into
4 picks in, the average fan is like, I don't know.
But even, I think one thing that binds you is like George Kittle. I don't ever remember watching him in college. Now, granted, I don't watch that much Iowa football, but once he becomes a star, I'm like, George Kittle, Iowa, 4-year star. You just feel like you watched him in college, even though I didn't. Right? You have a connection with George.
But you have a point of reference with the Big Ten. You can easily go to a box score and be like, oh, damn, he had 8 for 150 against Michigan. I know what that means.
Or it's like you ever meet someone. It's like, yeah, I played at Indiana in the mid 2010s. I'm like, oh, you play against George Kittle? It's like, yeah, fuck, I covered him. He kicked my ass or whatever.
John Kyler Murray has removed everything but 2 non-Cardinals posts from his Instagram page.
He's got 1.3 million followers.
I would imagine that's grown today. I saw on Twitter, Quincy Avery and Benjamin Albright both made the point that this is often a marketing tactic.
Marketing what?
Well, you do something like this that is something that gets attention, and then it gets you more followers because people think something's about to happen, and it gets eyeballs on your Instagram page.
Try it.
Which, just like scrub Middlekauff from all my Instagram.
We'll just scrub your entire Instagram. Do you know how long that would take? I mean, how many?
Well, you have some. You don't do it yourself, right?
So you let someone sign in. What about all the DMs? They could take some pictures.
Yeah, somebody else is running your account. You delete all the DMs too. Maybe you have a separate account for the DMs.
You never know what's in there.
But that was the suggestion, that it's just a marketing ploy. Which, let's say the best case scenario for Kyler is it's just a marketing ploy. Still just on the same day that Joe Burrow says, hey athletes, stay off of social media. Maybe that's what Kyler's doing. He's just taking Burrow's advice.
Shows you, man, on a given year, like the hype on number 1 picks at quarterback are always sky high, right? Obviously, Trevor was really high. Kyler was really high. Joe was really high. Jared Goff was really high. Luck was really high. You know, there is just such a big difference of getting a Joe Burrow or even Matt Stafford. Think about Matt Stafford all those years in Detroit. Like, he was never a problem. He was always like, actually, they always like, you know, we feel really good about having him. He's the least of our worries. Kind of feels like Kyler is the most of their worries right now because ultimately their franchise is predicated on him. For the coach to be good, he's got to be awesome, right? It's not like college where I think the Texas Tech offense, you can kind of get by if you're quarterback. You don't have to have Patrick Mahomes to score a bunch of points. In the NFL, like, you can't just, Chip Kelly proved it. Like, you need to have a good quarterback to score points. And if he's going to be shitty like he was the last 2 years at the end of the season when everyone's like, well, he's injured. Well, yeah, little guys get injured. He's tiny.
He's also in a contract year.
But he's not really. He's going into his 4th year, huh? I guess they could extend him.
Yeah.
He just finished his
Could extend him, could tag him, but this is the 4th year.
Lamar just played on his 4th year.
Yeah, that's just his coach's contract year also.
Well, here, listen.
Not the ideal situation to be in.
I've always kind of, whenever they had like inside some of those shows on the Arizona Cardinals, like All Access or whatever, I think Amazon Prime, remember, did something? And Michael Bidwell.
Yep.
I find Michael Bidwell kind of enjoyable.
Likes pets.
Yeah, lawyer, smart. That in his time running the franchise, I think since his dad passed away, think of the 2-star quarterbacks he's had a front row seat for. Kurt Warner, Carson Palmer. Like, elite players, but when you think both guys, you just think like, yeah, pretty high character, normal blue collar type guys that just get along with everyone. Like, have you ever heard anyone be like, Carson Palmer, asshole? Carson Palmer, wouldn't want that guy at my table, you know, at a wedding. Kurt Warner, scumbag, me guy. It's like he had a front row seat of those 2 guys. I mean, I remember a couple years ago on the Fox thing, Carson Palmer couldn't point me out of a lineup. Started bullshit with him. Nicest guy I've ever talked to. There was like a long-time star max NFL player. Yeah. Normal as can be. He's fucking huge, but very normal. Kurt Warner is like if Derek Carr was really, really good at football, right? I mean, that's just that he's had a front row seat though of like seeing those 2 guys run his franchise. So if I'm Bidwell, I would be very, very uncomfortable giving. I couldn't. Like, I wouldn't there would be no contract offer on the table for this.
Well, and the
guy.
hard part is if you don't know what you're doing with one guy, what are you doing with the other guy?
We're
Right?
playing
You're
it
not
out.
like you're not bringing Cliff back without Kyler, but you're not bringing Kyler back. So are you going to find a different coach for Kyler?
Well, you could roll it back this year,
Yeah.
which they're going to do. Cliff, 1 year who cares? To me, it's not as big a deal in the pros. And if you fire him, Kyler's under contract because you got to. I mean, one thing you will do is pick up his 5th-year option. I could see Kyler not showing up. Couldn't you? He feels like I can't remember the last quarterback to do that, but just not showing up.
Besides Rodgers?
But he showed up for training camp.
Yeah.
But he wasn't even holding out for money, was he?
No. He was just hanging with Miles Teller
Well, I was thinking today,
at Monkey Pod.
in our lifetime, I mean, incredible not
Banana cream
margaritas.
pie?
No, not mudslides. What are their drinks? Kind of orangey. What are the go-to?
I don't know.
Mudslide. Whatever the go-to drink is in Hawaii.
Mai Tai?
Mai Tai. See, my brain's not working.
I know.
today.
What's going on? Are you caffeinated today?
I don't know. I just don't. It's not feeling right up here.
Hit yourself with one of those.
What if it was the first quarterback to do a hold in? Think how weird that would be. But that's
Show up.
Kyler Murray.
Just wear the visor, helmet, visor, no pads. Just sit there like this. Just visor.
The Adam Gase.
Adam Case. I told you, to me, worse than the backwards hat is this one right here. This one I judge. This one I judge. This one's usually like 38 to 45-year-old. It's like, all right, dude, what are we doing here?
Well, what if you're introverted?
Well, yeah, it's that, but you can't be my you can't be my head coach with that look.
I'm introverted, damn it. I don't want to be here. You're right. Well, they say, Adam, what I read today is that one thing about Bill O'Brien going
But I look
back,
like I hit 13 home runs in my beer league softball team.
do you know why Adam Gase might be the Belichick's offensive coordinator? Is because him and Saban like have rules, right, about taking each other's guys. Like they discuss that if Saban doesn't let him go, Bill's cool with it. Like, I'm not going to take your guy. I think Bill obviously wants to go back, but Nick's like, yeah, I'm not done with him yet. Sucks to be Bill O'Brien. He's stuck.
Yeah, who's Belichick? I mean, who's Saban?
Well, Bill's like, hey, Saban is like, I threw you a bone, buddy.
Bill should call plays this year. Bill should become the Patriots offensive coordinator this year.
Totally agree.
Just solidified the way, he's like Shohei Ohtani of NFL coaches. It's like,
Think
remember
how
that year
awesome that would be.
Belichick coached offense?
What if he also ran special teams? So he was the OC and special teams coordinator and head coach.
And then
And
his son and Jared Mayo coached defense?
And they went 11-6.
Could he be like coordinator of the year? Do they have that award?
One thing, listening to the book, I realize why they have problems drafting wide receivers. Bill gets a little, to me, too analytical with, like, they ran this study. He made McDaniels and Caserio run this study of, like, all the DBs in their division and what wide receiver moves give them the hardest time and, like, what type attributes. Like, to me, it's like, Bill, you're overthinking it. Just fucking pick the best wide receiver and then tell him what you want him to do against that individual game plan. Like, this isn't that complicated. And I just wonder if he's in his own head now with wide receivers. Because then this was back in like 2004. And now I'm thinking they draft N'Keal Harry when all these other guys are on the board. Like, I think he has the yips when it comes to drafting wide receivers. The yips. He drafted N'Keal Harry over Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, and D.K. Metcalf.
That feels like an overthink.
And he took Sony Michel over Nick Chubb.
Crazy thing was N'Keal Harry was pretty dynamic, like his freshman year at ASU.
I kind of like N'Keal.
I did too. Next time you tell Kyle Shanahan, put your best players on special teams. Kevin Seifert. Did you send me this? Or maybe I just saw it.
I don't think I did, no.
I blow this up a little bit here. The NFL is launching a significant call to action in response to disproportionately high injury rates on special teams. Rule changes and new training requirements are on the table for punts and potentially kickoffs. Although concussions were down overall in 2021, data released today showing there have a higher frequency on special teams. 30% of ACL tears and 29% of lower extremity injuries happened on special teams. That despite the fact that special teams accounted for 17% of the plays in NFL games this season. This requires our attention immediately. So maybe Shanahan knows that, and that's why Azeez Al-Shaair doesn't end up on punt coverage.
Or why they don't need to overpay Rich. They might just take away punt and kickoff, and you just get the ball. Like, if you're winning, they get it 38 yards away, and if you're losing, who knows, like 55, whatever.
What was the
Is it out of the realm of possibility that in our lifetime they take those plays away?
I'm trying to remember what the XFL had some rules.
I thought 2 guys at the 10-yard line and you run to get the ball at the 50.
That was the old XFL's possession rules, but the new XFL that we had some really unique kickoff rules. I can't quite remember all of them.
I don't remember any of them.
But
I didn't watch.
I just remember they had some unique kickoff rules. The kicker. What was the rule? The kickoff. The kicker kicks from the 30. I remember. Not remember, but I'm seeing it now. Kind of shakes it loose. The kicker kicks off from the 30. The kickoff cover guys can't run until the guy catches the ball or something like that. So they would have less of a, I think they were closer also. So they have less of a head start.
Felt like they were doing some innovative stuff now looking back that I think the NFL might have instituted, but then COVID hit and they went bankrupt and no one's seen them since. And the NFL doesn't have time to worry about what actually was going to happen.
Yeah, so what it was, I kick off from the 30. My cover unit is on your 35. So let's say I'm kicking to you. The ball's at the 30. I'm kicking from my own 30-yard line.
Yeah.
But you on the coverage team, John, you're on the other side of the 50, way ahead of me, the kicker.
So it's almost like a pass rush.
You're on the 35. You're on the other 35.
So if I catch it at the 15, they're only 20 yards instead of running 45 yards at me.
But they don't get to start running until I catch the ball.
So my unit blocking for me is not starting at like the 40 and staggered back. It's all kind of right behind.
Yeah, I think the unit was like 5 yards or 5 or 10 yards. Like the blocking guys are on the 30, you're on the 35. So you're 5 yards apart, so your collisions are much lower speed.
Well, I'll tell you why this happens so often, right? When do ACLs a lot of times happen with wide receivers? In the open field. What had happened to Jamison Williams? In the national championship
Alabama
game. It happens in the open field running full speed. Well, what happens on kickoffs and punts? People have a lot of green grass and in the open field running full speed, making full speed cuts. It's just you are making the movements that wide receivers and corners usually tear their ACL on, right? That is, you're just full speed, open, fast, immediate cuts. Now, when I see this, the league office doesn't give a shit about kickoffs and punts. Now, there got to be some special teams coaches that trying to get raises, and their head coaches are looking at this right now. Is this even going to matter?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you just told me that a punt is an automatic, if you want to punt it, you just say punt, and they just place it 40 yards down the field. I can see that. They just pick a universal number, which would be, to me, a pretty big strategic.
Well, I don't think we'd go that far. I mean, the punters have from what I understand, a pretty strong grasp in the players' union.
Do you think?
What if I reported that the punter contingent of the players' union carries a lot of sway? They have the most access to country club memberships, and the other position players don't want to upset them.
What if this is a leak from the Niners to try to combat Rich's massive asking price right now?
Yeah.
I like punts and kicks.
I do too. I'm not going to argue. I'm not arguing with the data. That number surprises me. I didn't feel like there were that many ACLs relative to other times of action.
I'll tell you why. Because when a guy tears an ACL on the punt team, you fucking don't know who he is.
We don't take a commercial break.
Yeah,
get off the field.
Well, I just don't think the team. It ain't Debo Samuel or AJ Brown or Devontae Smith or Justin Jefferson, right? It's this guy that got bumped up from the practice squad that covers kicks. It's usually who it is.
Funniest video on the internet. We'll get to in a moment, John. Before we do, hey, don't forget sleepnumber.com/ham. Sleepnumber.com/ham. Let's see, it's afternoon, evening. I'm ignoring the rules today with my afternoon latte here, John. But
do you ever have days where you just think like, look at the clock, it's 4 or 5 o'clock, and be like, I could go to bed in like an hour or two, but can I go to bed at 7 o'clock at night?
Yes, I do have those days.
And then you think, one, you got a sleepnumber.com/ham bed that we can't recommend enough. Go check it out. You guys need a new bed. Is that when you're younger, your desire to just stay up late, not go to bed. I see my little brother's nephew, when you go, time to go night, he goes, no! It's like all as you get older, you want to do is go to bed. It's crazy how everything shifts in life.
It's a deep-seated natural urge, I guess, to just stay awake. Like Alvin Kamara. I'm staying up all night.
Clubbing. Vegas.
This again. Oh, the Frenchman. Oh, the gate.
I don't know if I think this video is freezing on my end. I can't really see it smooth.
So what happened is this is video to prevent it from getting taken down for copyright violation. I made it into photos with the audio.
Oh, okay.
Which kind of takes a little steam out of it.
Yeah, it ruins it. Yeah, to me, the video is not.
You can't ruin it with the sound effect is still there.
Yeah, I think we would have been okay, but you never know. They're paying a lot for the Olympics.
My question is this real?
Well, I mean, no one watching can tell.
Well, I mean, people have seen the video. Everyone's been all over the internet.
You think we would have got flagged?
Not worth it. I don't know.
Oh, monsieur.
Can't get our second strike.
Wow,
yeah.
The boys took a beating on that one.
Is it like 3 strikes you're out, or is it 1 strike? After
I think the next strike would be off for a week.
We'd talk some serious shit on Twitter about Google then. I don't think they would notice.
The hell is this? Yeah, all right. Maybe it didn't work.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Internet video of a skier getting his nuts hit by one of they call it the gate. And you can hear him go, oh! But honestly, watching it multiple times, after the 7th time I watched laughing, I'm like, is this just a Joey Molinaro video? And nobody told me? Is this real? The broadcaster almost seems too disrespectful to the skier for that to be real.
Did you see? I retweeted it yesterday. It was tandem ice skating. The guy and the chick. They put the WWE announcer over it. They drop her, but in the back of the stands, it doesn't look like anyone's there. This Olympics, I mean, they should have just canceled this thing. Like, what are we doing this for? For who? For what?
For TV. I mean, that's the only reason any of this, right?
It feels like the Winter Olympics is holding on by a shoestring. My thought is nobody. What do you think the percentage of people under 40 years old that are consuming this?
I saw the numbers.
Do you think that's a number, or would you put it at 30? Do you think there's people in their 30s watching it? Would you put the number 30 in number? You say the
we are in our 30s. I mean, look, we're in our 30s. I grew up watching the Olympics. I watched the Olympics every night in the Haberman house, watching the Olympics. They're going to have the closing ceremonies, and I won't have seen a thing other than that slalom video that may or may not be real.
What channel is it on? Is it on Real NBC?
I don't know.
I mean, look at that.
Start?
Look at that.
I saw a great tweet. Someone's like, from Tower 4 at Chernobyl.
That's real. When I saw this on the internet, guy, I saw it on Instagram. It was like a meme. And I'm like, I don't even believe this. So I typed it into Google and Twitter search just to see if it was real. It was legitimately like that. That's real.
All right,
That
that's
feels
Yannick.
like
So the
happened
skier
years ago.
happened years ago. See, I told you this. I said they could put a highlight out of the Olympics. Tell me it's from yesterday. It could be 15 years old. I'd have no idea. Because skiing, you can't really tell. It's not like basketball where they're wearing short shorts. Skiing, you have no clue. Is that
Can't see
30
'em.
years old or today?
not that I ever want anyone to get injured, but I do find it pretty fascinating to watch like the Super G when a guy, catches a little ice and just takes
Which
off
one's
into the
Super
fence.
G?
Just the one where they're hauling ass.
They got poles? Is that the
They
one
would
you're
have
just doing
poles.
this? Is
No,
that the
you're just
skiing. You're talking about skiing.
Yeah, but it's like
Yeah.
it's like downhill on ice,
Right.
basically. And when you just kind of catch a lip and you fly into basically the fence, but the fence isn't hard, and you just get wrapped around, and everything goes up, and you're just like, is this guy gonna live? It happened
Isn't
to
that-
the girl Tiger was sleeping with
Yeah.
for a while. She got into a terrible. I mean, whenever I say that, I think about looking at all their pictures of them naked and Tiger's huge hog, but it
Was
Lindsey
that
Vonn.
happening?
Remember, they were sleeping together, and
Yeah.
his text messages got outed on the internet, and there were all the pictures of the nudes
I
they
don't
were
remember
sending each
that
other
part.
back. And Tiger had sent a nude that looked like at like a country club bathroom of just ass naked with his fucking dick hanging down to his knees. Like, God, Tiger's packing heat. But yeah, Lindsey Vonn. That was a powerful little relationship.
It's one of those that was like kind of over before it began. Kind of feels like.
Well, it might have been going on for a while without anyone knowing.
Yeah, I mean that's what. Yeah, probably that's what I mean. I don't know, but this one I can't get enough of. I mean, what event is this? Do you even know?
I think, isn't that the one where you jump on skis, with the skis that look like a boat?
Oh, and
two
then
of
you
them?
do the
The what?
Well, the thing where you cross your legs and kind of go lean forward. Is this the one where you lean forward?
And bend forward, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing one actually seems very dangerous, yet it doesn't feel like many people get injured on that one.
Do you get points? Is it like judges? Anyway, forget about it. Let's talk about what we know. So one thing I happened to notice today, just because I was looking at a picture of Mike McDaniel with his sunglasses on. So I checked the Dolphins' schedule to see who they play. They play the Steelers. The Dolphins play the Niners at Levi Stadium this year. Dolphins, Niners this year. Niners schedule this year. Dolphins, football team, Commanders, at the Bears. Those are going to be their random games. And then they play the AFC West and the NFC South this year.
Well, the
So,
NFC
interesting.
South might suck, right?
Yes, Dennis Allen, Arthur Smith,
The Bucks have no quarterback.
the
The
Bucks.
Niners beat the shit out of Atlanta this year and Carolina. That guy could be fired about midseason.
Yeah. Or quit before this season. And then football team Miami and Miami at home. That's pretty big Mike McDaniel game.
It's one of those games that, like, February 7th, when we talk about, seems cool, and then by the time it gets here, it could be, like, kind of boring.
Well, he hasn't had a defensive coordinator yet, right?
Well, you know what I had read? I think Rap Sheet
You're
put this
gonna keep
out there.
somebody?
Is that he's like interested in keeping the entire defensive staff. Is that one of those where Stephen Ross is like, yeah, I just wanted to fire Flores. Everyone else, I don't want to pay to go away. You're going to keep them all.
Well, I mean, who's on their defensive staff?
Well, it's a bunch of Flores guys.
But I mean, it was a good defense. Now, obviously, Brian Flores
was-
is defensive coach, but
Yeah. I think it's one of those where I don't know if he's got the juice to fire everybody.
Josh Boyer was their defensive coordinator. Does that?
Never heard of him.
They have a special teams coach, Danny Crossman.
They got
Gerald
a lot.
Alexander,
Boise State guy.
DB coach. Yep. D-line, linebackers.
Does this crew of guys look like they could play? This is just me.
Yeah, I'd say 1, 2, 3 of them, 4, 5. I'd say 5 of them look like they can't play. The rest of them can play. I mean, Gerald Alexander, I feel like was just in the league.
Wasn't he a Cal?
He was for 2 years. They had good DBs when he was there too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been one of Wilcox's calling cards.
Day on McDaniel's staff. Doesn't feel like Mike McDaniel's going to have too much pull on what he's doing.
Also, just not a lot of time, right? Like, how do you not that he's running out of time? It's just in the game of musical chairs, people kind of have a seat.
But do they really? Do any of these staffs? Like,
I guess they change after the draft, right?
Not really, but I'm just saying, like, is Dennis
on
Doug
defense?
Doesn't have a staff?
Why wouldn't Dennis keep it all together on defense?
He probably would. Oh, you're just saying I mean, Kevin O'Connell doesn't have a staff.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I don't know who the hell he's going to hire, but I could see him just hiring one of those guys. Again, I think Rap Sheet tweeted that he wants to keep everyone kind of like the Dolphins have told him, like, these guys are staying. We're not paying these guys to go away.
Pretty crazy to take over a team. It's like, do you know any of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think these hiring cycles, it's kind of a joke now. Like, most of these staffs are just kind of so thrown together. Again, in my experience, like, and Andy's still doing it, like, he grooms guys, he knows the guys. You look at, I mean, Sean Payton's staffs, it always felt like he knew these guys. Him and Dennis Allen were together before he went to the Raiders, after the Raiders. You look at Belichick's staffs, like, he builds these guys up. You watch a lot of these new staffs, like, you got to give Kyle some credit. When he put a staff together, he had known the majority of these humans, right?
Yeah. Well, it's part of hiring guys that don't have that much high-level experience, right?
Who's Kevin O'Connell going to hire?
Well, part of it, just look at it the other way. Like, I mean, these jobs are hard to get, so you take them, but who is looking to get on Kevin O'Connell's staff?
People without jobs.
Right.
Maybe I could imagine the occasional college guy that maybe he knew that, like, wants out, right? Like a wide receiver coach at, Mississippi State or something that his buddy is like, fuck, I'll go with you. Get me out of here. Or like Indiana. If you just got a random buddy at a place that's not like Alabama in college, you'd be like, I'll go. Hire me. I'm tired of recruiting. I never want to hear about NIL again in my life.
Fangio?
If I have one more parent ask me what my NIL deal is going to be, there's going to be a college story where a guy snaps. Like, he just loses on a parent. Like, I can't take it anymore. I don't give a shit. I do not care. I'll give you as much money as you can take. Stop asking me about it. Like, at least with the NFL, it's like, hey, man, our offer is 3 years, $18 million. The most we can go is $12 million guaranteed. That's it. That's it. In college, it's like, yeah, we'll see. I got to call this guy, see if we can get another $100,000 together. It's got to be a pain, man.
Fangio? 3-4?
No, I feel like the 3-4 is kind of dying. You see the quote Patrick Graham told Crosby? It's a pretty good one.
Who's Crosby?
Max Crosby. The guy, Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator for the Giants, the Daboll is going to keep, but he's also a New England guy, and Josh Stoll.
Yeah.
He talked to Crosby, and I think he's run a 3-4. He's a Belichick guy, and he's like, bro, we don't have a scheme. We will do whatever it takes. And Crosby's like, yeah, I kind of like this. That's what the Belichick guys like. They don't.
Amoeba D.
Yeah, we'll just do whatever. That's Fangio, elite coach. How many teams are really running like the 3-4 defense now?
Were the Bears?
When he was there, yeah. The Giant. I don't feel like I watched that much Bronco football. I don't know. Feels like they were.
Broncos were not a good watch.
Maybe he's adapted a little. You're in nickel personnel so much anyway that you got 4 defensive linemen on the field.
You
McDaniel, Fangio, that'd be a crew.
South Florida Sun Sentinel reported McDaniel's pursuing Fangio. Yeah.
I mean, that presser is tomorrow.
It would actually make a lot of sense just based on having a guy with some head coaching experience, right?
You probably need a guy like, Well, I was thinking Mike Shanahan go with him.
What a great idea.
Jay
I would
Gruden.
imagine Fangio and Mike definitely know some of the same people from Fangio's time in San Francisco, right? Like Parag or those guys would have a line to Fangio if Mike. Not that it's that hard to get a help. I mean, not that hard to get a hold of anybody, but
Tom Sula.
Tom Sula.
To me, the problem is you're facing Belichick and Josh Allen. It's just not going to be easy.
Yeah, I mean, I would not want a first-time DC.
No, yeah, I mean, yeah. McVay
Wade
started
Phillips?
with Wade Phillips. Yeah, I remember that.
He ended
Remember
that pretty quick, didn't he?
He's like, I'm tired of this fucking old guy not listening to me. See ya. I'll give McVay credit. He's pivoted pretty well. He got Brandon Staley, who was a one and done, and then he got Raheem Morris, and their defense has been good. McVay and Kyle are good at finding coaches.
Very good.
Tom Sula was a rat. Remember that story? Jim thought he was a
I
rat.
do.
Who can forget Tom Sula the rat? I watched
mean,
Donnie Brasco. I actually watched Donnie Brasco the other night. Rats get killed.
Man. All right. Super Bowl week. You haven't he's got this weird something that tells me Joe Burrow's gonna have something special this week. Young Montana's coming out party.
How about this?
Split it.
You want to just put $950 or whatever we have on the Bengals money line?
It's plus 155. Is that what it is right now?
Do you really think McVay is going to be 0-2 in Super Bowls?
Well, my problem. So I'll tell you the two images I have in my head. Burrow winning because I think Burrow's special. I think I'm not on a limb there. The other image I have in my head is like, to me, the more inevitable image, which is kind of the shot of Zach Taylor looking up at the scoreboard, like 2 minutes left, and the broadcast basically doing they got here, and that's pretty good for the Bengals. As McVay on the other side is backslapping up 38-14. Here's the thing. I rewatched Titans-Bengals this morning. I mean, the Bengals led most of that game.
They were, but he was throwing picks, and
I know.
What's his name hadn't played. That was his first game back.
Got sacked a bunch.
Oh, what the fuck? Plus 155.
I believe in him. I don't necessarily believe in their team.
What about Aaron Donald for MVP? What if he has like 3 sacks and gets
That's
a fumble?
definitely juicy. What's the number on that?
Super Bowl props. Aaron Donald MVP. Honestly, not that great. Plus 550. Beside Stafford, Burrow, 2 best odds. Stafford 1-1, Burrow 2-1. Aaron Donald has the 3rd best odds in the game to be the MVP. A defensive tackle. To me, that's like betting John Rahm this week at 6-1. It's like, I'd like Aaron Donald like 12-1, 5-1. It's just, he could have a great game, 2 sacks, and not even be close to the MVP.
Well, Von Miller highlights were making the rounds on Twitter today from the Super Bowl where he was the MVP. Kind of that. I've forgotten that we were talking about that Super Bowl yesterday. The strip sack where he just rips the ball away from Cam. And it
30,
like the
how about him?
line.
33-1. Coming off the edge. Is he going to be a 2-time Super Bowl MVP as a defensive end?
Also, you have to not score in order for a defensive player to be the MVP of your game, right? Like a defensive player is the MVP usually with like a pick six or Dexter Jackson or Dexter Jackson, right? That was the Bucs MVP with that offense that was the Brad Johnson team. Wasn't that the MVP?
Yeah, the safety.
Right, or Larry Brown with the pick six.
Jalen Ramsey, 60-1. What if he's picking up?
Yeah, man, I just think offensive players are what's the history of this award?
Quarterbacks.
Like if the Rams don't score, then okay. But if Von Miller has two sacks, but the Rams score 34 points, like Von Miller's not the MVP of the game, right?
I do think the safest thing to do is just bet on the Rams.
Bet the over?
But I think the Rams' defense is pretty good, and their defensive line is unreal. Like, listen, Joe Burrow is fucking awesome. You watch the Montana documentary, you realize, like, Marino lost the Super Bowl. Elway got his ass kicked in the Super Bowl. Like, all-time legends get worked in the Super Bowl.
But here's the thing. Joe is Montana. Joe is not Dan. Yeah, Joe is Joe.
Yeah, but he doesn't have Bill Walsh or Ronnie Lott.
That's true, but I mean, he's not playing Bill Walsh either, is he?
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. You want to just not gamble on it?
No, I don't want to do that.
I mean, we can just put 950.
I think
on
you
the
feel
money
stronger
line.
about
Do you
the
think,
Rams.
Well, do you think can you close your eyes and envision the Bengals as Super Bowl champions? The Bengals.
That's the problem. But again, like that happens. Sometimes things just happen.
And then the Bengals are just going to be a dynasty?
Good memory, Ramon. I did almost call Devin White Super Bowl MVP last year.
I know, and then I bet on it.
And it almost happened. Didn't he?
He was
almost
so close.
What was it that he almost had like a? He almost had like a pick six. Didn't he have a ball over the middle or something like that?
I thought he almost had a fumble. I think he had a pick. He almost had a fumble 6, and he had like 7 more tackles than the next guy. And their defense was dominating. But it was like, oh, they got to give it to Tom Brady. And I remember it was coming down the pipe, and I had $100 on like 40-1, and you were furious that you didn't get any action on it.
That's right.
You know?
Yep. That's why I'm going to go buy up some NFTs.
Do you own any NFTs?
No.
Do you even? I don't even know what NFTs are.
I mean, I have a basic. I could not explain them to somebody else, but I have a very, what's it called?
You think Burrow's a non-fungible
mediocre
token?
Man, I think Burrow is just the next greatest quarterback in the league.
His team, man, his offensive line sucks, and
Jamar
this defensive
Chase
line
is so good.
awesome. Well, they got Jalen
Is
Ramsey.
Jalen Ramsey's going to take him away?
Might. They got Von Miller. Who's blocking all these guys? They can't block a soul. The Titans had 9 sacks. You have 9 sacks in a game, I bet the correlation with winning is 99.9%.
This game wouldn't be better with the Titans in it, would it? Or would it?
No. No.
It'd be better with the Chiefs. I mean,
it'd be better with the Chiefs or the Bills. Chiefs or the Bills would feel bigger.
I rewatched some of that game 30 minutes this morning. Chiefs Bengals. Whew.
Yeah.
That one just ouch. The end of the half. Ouch.
Aaron Rodgers Instagrammed with a Packers left tackle and a sauna. It's over.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
All right. Anything else to add?
That's all I got.
Good hang, everybody.
We could put 900 this week on the Sacramento Kings.
Ugh.
Kidding. Bet
Nothing sounds less attractive than that. Later, y'all.